Jealousy does not exist, or at least not in the way we think it does. Because I don't think we're actually jealous of people, we're confronted by them. Because most of the time, jealousy is not about wanting someone else's life. It's about seeing someone become a version of themselves that you know that you could have become too, but you chose not to. And that's what hurts. That uncomfortable feeling. It's not them, it's you. It's that version of you that stays still. That hesitated, that procrastinated, that was too afraid to start, too afraid to be seen, or too afraid to fail. We are confronted by a version of ourselves that we could have become, but that we have abandoned, that we delayed, and versions that we were too scared to become. And that discomfort slowly gets renamed jealousy. Part 1. The misunderstanding of jealousy. I used to think that jealousy meant wanting someone else's life, but that never really made sense to me. Because if jealousy was really about wanting what others have, why are we just not jealous of everyone else? And why are we only deeply affected by certain people? Why does one person inspire us while another ruins our whole mood? Why can I scroll past thousands of successful people and feel nothing, but then suddenly see one specific person and feel this strange heaviness in my head and in my chest? Well, I think that it is because jealousy is selective, and it is selective for a good reason. We are not usually jealous of lives that feel impossible to us, such as driving a tractor in the middle of nowhere and, becoming a cowboy. Okay, that's not. We're jealous of lives that feel possible. Possible if we started earlier, if we were more disciplined, if we stopped hiding, if we actually believed in ourselves. Jealousy is not I want to be dumb. It is I recognize something that exists but is abandoned inside me as well. Part 2. The pain of unused potential. I think that the worst kind of jealousy comes from potential. Not from lack, from potential. Because there is a specific type of pain that appears when you watch someone do something you know that you could have and should have done as well. Not easily, not perfectly, but genuinely. And instead of trying, you waited. You overthought, doubted yourself, and kept preparing instead of actually starting. And then one day you watch someone else living the life that you kept imagining for yourself. And that feeling is absolutely devastating. Especially when deep down a part of you knows that could have been me as well. And I don't even think this applies to careers or success anymore. Most of the time it's confidence. You see someone speaking freely and you realize how much of yourself you suppress every single day. You see someone creating art imperfectly and realize that you spent years waiting to become good enough before even beginning. Sometimes you see someone enjoying life without obsessing over achievement and realize how long you've been treating yourself and your own existence as a competition. Part 3. Social media and modern jealousy. Social media intensified this feeling in ways we still don't fully understand because now we're exposed to thousands of lives every single day. Thousands of faces, thousands of bodies, of achievements, of people becoming themselves publicly. And maybe that's why scrolling feels emotionally exhausting. Not because everyone is better than us, but because every single scroll becomes a reminder of what we haven't started, of what we abandoned, who we could have been. I think a lot of people mistake emotional exhaustion for laziness, when in reality they're actually overwhelmed by constant comparison. Because comparison destroys clarity. And then you eventually stop asking yourself what do I actually want, and instead you ask what can I do to make others perceive me better, to make me worthy compared to everyone else. And that's the point where jealousy can become very dangerous. Because if admiration turns into comparison for too long, it slowly becomes resentment. And it's not always towards others, but it's towards yourself for wasting time, for staying scared, for not becoming the person you imagine. And that is going to make you feel depleted and destroy you in the long run. Part 4. The school or achievement pressure. This also happens with grades and achievement, especially when you grow up constantly feeling that your worth is connected to your performance, or if your parents or teachers told you that. And at some point, success stops feeling exciting. It becomes survival. And then someone else's achievement feels like evidence that you are falling behind. And that is not because you hate them, but because you're terrified that there's no room left for you. And that mindset destroys so many people. It's so sad to see this happen happening everywhere and all the time, because life will eventually stop feeling personal and it's starting to feel random. And you're not gonna learn because you're curious anymore, but you're gonna learn because you're scared of failure, of wasted potential, of becoming average, and eventually you stop feeling alive. And I think that's why so many ambitious people secretly feel empty, because they don't know whether they truly want something or whether they're just afraid of not being exceptional. Part 5. The creator paralysis. Hear me out on this one. Jealousy hits the hardest when you're creative, because creators consume inspiration constantly. Videos, art, photos, books, ideas, aesthetics, you name it. And inspiration is beautiful, of course, but until it becomes intimidation. Until you stop creating because everyone else suddenly seems better than you. I think a lot of people don't realize how many talented people never become visible, and we lose them because they lose themselves in the process. And that is not because they lack talent, because they waited for too long to feel ready. And perfection disguises itself as intelligence, and you start telling all this stupid stuff to yourself. I'm just planning, I'm just improving, I'm waiting for the right moment. No, that is fear. The fear of being seen, the fear of being seen trying, the fear of creating imperfectly, of discovering that you're not instantly extraordinary. Meanwhile, someone else simply starts, not because they're better, but because they allow themselves to be bad before becoming good. And those are the ones that actually become successful. Part 6. So what is jealousy really? Maybe it's not a real, independent emotion. I think it's a symptom of disconnection from yourself, between desire and action, identity and reality, potential and discipline, imagination and courage. Because if you genuinely align with yourself, jealousy changes and it turns into inspiration. You still admire people, you still notice beauty, you still recognize success, but those don't feel threatening anymore, because their existence no longer feels like proof of your failure, and it becomes proof that something else is possible. Because if you see someone getting a good grade and you're aligned with yourself, then you're gonna be like, well, it's definitely possible for me to achieve that as well, because if they can do it, I can too. I believe that the people who trigger us are most of the time mirrors. Not enemies, not competitors, but are mirrors. And I've experienced that as well. That's why jealousy hurts so deeply, because it forces us to confront the gap between who we are and who we know we could become. But I have some good news for you as well. Maybe that pain is not here to destroy us. Maybe it's directional. And maybe jealousy was never meant to say, oh, you'll never have this, but it was trying to say, this matters to you. And it was trying to show you the path that you have to follow. And maybe healing begins the moment you stop asking why them and start asking, why have I been so afraid to become myself? Because jealousy is that pain and discomfort of witnessing a life that you recognize as possible for yourself. And maybe the cure was never hatred, maybe it was action. What if we started feeling inspired by others instead of feeling threatened by them? Try doing this for 1 week. Every time you see someone else that is doing better than you, feel inspired and take action towards that, towards your goals, and take them as inspiration and as proof that your dreams are not impossible and that they are already here on earth. I hope that you learned something from this video, and if you made it this far, comment, I am working towards my goals. That was it for now. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.